This doll, if popped up in my house, if I just found this laying around my room, or if my mom decided to say, hey, the weird kid that is now our neighbor, dropped this off, and this doll, instead of looking like Coraline, looks like me, I would have been petrified. The horror within me could never. I'd be dead. Like Coraline. Let me tell you something. This doll is really the last of Coraline's worries. Or it should be. And let me give you another hint. The Beldam is no match for what she really needs to worry about. Isn't this cute? Like, honestly, look. It's a little Coraline doll. And no, it does not give me nightmares. And no, she did not replace Gracie, although Gracie is now dead. Well, she's always been dead, but she's like broken. You commented down parallel universe, and now I am going to give you a shout out. Hearts for Star 8261, Coralines 9654, Rosalind or Rosie, Totally Not Zero, Sharvi _ Sevigari, Patrick Bikram, I Might Be Possessed, and Melanie Pineda 6146. And yes, I will make another Coraline video. Here it is. Oh, before that, I need to thank you all so freaking much for commenting it down, for watching till the end of the video, engaging with my content. I love you all very dearly for it. If you didn't get a shout out in this video and you really would like one, I'll make sure to put another word in the end of this video, so you may have a chance to get a shout out in the next video. So good luck. But now on to the video. So I've made a few theories here and there of Coraline. And by a few, I mean a lot. Like, I've made a lot. I have a whole playlist if you want to watch all of those videos. Out of all the Coraline videos that I've made, I've enjoyed making this one particular theory, which was a two-parter, the most. And this video is actually going to be a continuation of that. So if you haven't seen those other videos, go ahead and watch them before watching this one. I feel like it would give you a lot of insight. And if you have seen those videos but you completely forgot about what I said, which I don't blame you because I did too, then go watch them again. But I will give you a little recap about that theory. Vincent van Gogh. What an interesting man. That's an understatement. He's a famous painter for a reason, and his life was actually it was interesting, to say the least. It was really sad as well. Ever since he was born, he was basically not wanted by his mother. He was abandoned, he was neglected, the ridicule of town. And this man was no stranger to mental health issues. Unfortunately, he suffered greatly because of his mental health. He was put into a mental health facility many times, and his artwork was not taken seriously until his death. What you need to take away from that is the fact that this man lived a very sad life, and he was very, very depressed. And trigger warning, he actually ended his own life. And that death was excruciating for him. It lasted 2 days. Now, why do I bring him up? What does Vincent van Gogh have to do with Coraline? The thing that led me into that rabbit hole of Vincent van Gogh's life is actually because in Coraline, we see one of his paintings, The Starry Night. And that comes along right about at the end of the movie, where there's angels. And then I began to notice more similarities between Vincent van Gogh's life within the Coraline movie. Cherry blossom trees, swirls all over the place, a bunch of stars, the color blue. And this line said by YB grabbed my attention.
If you fell to the bottom and looked up, you see a sky full of stars in the middle of the day.
Something that Vincent van Gogh has said in the past is this quote in particular: "We take death to a star." An interesting thing is the Starry Night is a starry night, and when we go into the other world, it's always a starry night. Never day and never a bright blue sky. We take death to a star. And in this particular movie, she's never on a star, so we can say she's not dead, but we're always seeing stars, and the representation of stars and death. Vincent van Gogh, his life surrounded death. Coraline's life is surrounded by death. This is a life or death situation that she is in. So I kind of sidetracked, but that's the general basis of what I said in the other videos. Of course, I gave out more details and I went more in depth. So if you want to take a look at that, go ahead. But this video is focusing on things that I didn't mention in that video. Like, for example, her life. Yes, I mentioned that she lives a very hard life, but really, I didn't really go into it as much as I should have. Her life is just miserable. Her parents neglect her. I mean, look at the food she gets. Look at how they respond to her.
Will you stop pestering me?
And I have no doubt in my mind that her parents do love her. I don't think they hate her, but maybe deep within they resent her in a way. I don't think they're intentionally trying to abuse her emotionally or physically, and I don't think they do physically, but emotionally I believe that they do. And even though it's not intentional, it's there. Some things that just spark a red flag in her parents that make me believe that she is unintentionally, emotionally used is the fact that her parents use humiliation a lot. And humiliation is part of emotional abuse. The way that they do that is how they respond to her. They kind of just roll their eyes and scoff at the sound of her voice. And that in part is humiliation. Another thing that happens in the movie is downplaying. Her parents downplaying her experiences all the time. Anytime she mentions anything of the other world, they say, oh, it was just a dream, it's just in your head. And sure, maybe some parents do that over here in the real world, and that's not. But the mother also downplays her experience when saying, I almost died today. I almost fell down the well. She didn't even care. What if her child was seriously in danger? What if she almost did have a near-death experience and they're just downplaying the whole situation like they don't care? And symptoms that we see in Coraline is the loss of appetite. Even if this food is disgusting, she only eats in the other world. Eats. She clearly has some sort of depression. She is in a negative mood. She is always looking for something to do. She is not really there fully. She lacks sleep. She barely sleeps in this movie. I mean, we see her fall asleep and then wake up, but really, did she fall asleep? She was in the other world and she was in the real world, and where's the time to sleep? She is also socially withdrawn. When presented with the other YB who doesn't talk, she is relieved. She doesn't really want a friendship with YB. She only wants a friendship with the other YB because she knows it's not real, really. And everything in this other world isn't really real. It's her escape. She finds a sense of freedom, a sense of joy, something different, something a part of her life. In the theory that I had developed in those other videos, I say that she fell into some sort of coma. She's probably in the middle of life or death. And I know a lot of you hate theories like that, but really this was back in like 2009, so the hidden theme of this movie could have been that, when at the time it was more of an original concept. I feel like this one may be an exception to that. We have so many things leading us to that direction. Vincent van Gogh, there are so many references to him in this movie. The mother mentioned a car accident that happened to be Coraline's fault, although she says,
It wasn't my fault you hit that truck.
I never said it was.
Although we know that really means she blames her for it. She has a cast around her neck. That's a very traumatizing thing. And I believe the mother blamed her for this. I believe this whole movie is actually all in either her journey to the afterlife to figure out whether she wants to live or die, or she's in a dream, in a coma, or it's a daydream of hers. Here's what I think happened. Her parents are always emotionally abusive to her, unintentionally, but it is occurring, and she constantly feels blamed for things that really aren't her fault, and she constantly feels so negatively about herself because of her parents. In a car ride, maybe on the way to the Pink Palace, they get into a car accident that maybe Coraline was talking to them a bit much and she was a distraction to the parents or something along those lines, and they end up crashing into another vehicle.
But then we had the accident.
Parents die instantly. Coraline doesn't. She's either in a coma or in absolute shock. She starts to draw some figures on a sheet of paper because that's what kids do, and she begins to daydream. The swirls lead her to believe she is in a world full of magical mysteries, and it's just great, it's better, it's an amazing life that she wants to live. Little does she know, it's not life at all. This is where her demons come to present themselves. In a way, the Beldam is a representation of what she wishes her mother were like and what she wishes her father were like. But we see cracks in between that. We see the real version of her parents. It's not nice and tied up in a bow. It's not pretty. It's imperfect. It's emotionally abusive. It's something that she had to fight through. Her parents vanishing is a representation of their life being taken away from them. Their life was taken away from them because the ugly parts of them is what consumed them. Really, Coraline wasn't to blame. It was them. Their ugly parts showed, and it consumed them, and inevitably killed them. And Coraline tossing the doll away is another representation of their death. Maybe the car went up in flames. Finally, at the end of the movie, when the ghosts start to say,
"Thou art alive. Thou art still living."
She doesn't have to decide to take death. She doesn't have to go that route. She can stay alive, knowing that her parents aren't there to harm her anymore, even though she may miss them. They are her parents after all. And telling her in a way that she is okay. But she decides to hide the key. The cat knows that there is danger ahead, danger that could lead her to die. And in the well, if you fall into it, you'll see a night full of stars. You'll stare up into space and see the stars. Does that mean that they would still be alive, or does that mean they're taking death to a star? Did Coraline decide to stay alive, or did she decide to die? Maybe where she is now is her star. She has her parents there, friends, a happy, wonderful life. Her pretend life. The life inside her head that she created. The life that is not real. The life that is still full of mysteries. Maybe she did need to fall into that well, so she could look up at the stars instead of being on one. She took death to a star. I believe she died. Just as Vincent van Gogh had a tragic life and a tragic end, maybe Coraline did too. Maybe Coraline thinks she is alive, but really she isn't. And that's why maybe there will never be another sequel, because that was the story. That was her life. Anyways, thank you all so much. Oh my god, I recorded for 25 minutes straight, and that is the longest I've ever recorded, I believe, and I need to stop now. But I'll give you another word. Comment down, sky full of stars. It's not a word, it's a phrase, but comment it down and you'll have a chance to get a shout out in the next video. So thank you all so much for supporting my channel. I love you all very dearly. Goodbye.